You've seen this shit? Finishing this game is a one-way street to becoming completely insufferable to everyone who hasn't. I know, because I am one of those people. I can't stop thinking about this game. My yapping has been incessant. I have sat and watched friends play through this game from start to finish multiple times. I forced my wife to play this game on our anniversary. I have read and watched every single think piece that I can find about this game, and not a single one of them even scratches the surface of what this game has to offer. And the music in particular, I think it's criminally undiscussed. Like, sure, people talk about the fact that the music is good, but I haven't seen anyone really adequately talk about how or why. Like, why does this little indie game's chamber folk soundtrack sound like the meaning of life? Because we all agree that it does, right? This game is doing something. TikTok won't shut the f up about how damn good this music is. And I know that the game is about the meaning of life and that could influence our ability to understand the music, but I've felt this part of the score before I hit start on the main menu, so clearly it's doing something special. That or Pralo just injected the score with sugar, spice, and fucking heroin. Well, I have a music composition degree. Please, dear God, someone give me a job so I can quit working in data entry. So if no one else is going to explain it, I guess it may as well be me. God save us all. Now, we need to talk quickly about spoilers before we get started. Now, understand that I don't really think that spoilers matter that much. I think they usually don't really impact someone's ability to engage with an artwork too much. I knew about the death of Ned Stark and the Red Wedding and the death and resurrection of Jon Snow long before watching Game of Thrones or reading the significantly better A Song of Ice and Fire, and it barely impacted my ability to experience what are now my favorite books. So understand that I really mean it when I say that knowing literally anything about the Outer Wilds before playing it completely annihilates your ability to engage with the art at all. It's a puzzle game, but the puzzle is also the story, and knowing the story means knowing the solution, and knowing the solution without figuring it out for yourself literally kills the art. You're a murderer! Look at the game bleeding out at your feet, limbs twitching as all life leaves its breast, you monster! And this one can't be resurrected after just 2 episodes with no consequence. I'm sorry, I got to this party really late, and now I have to use every chance I can get to unload my feelings that everyone else was having a decade ago. Look, the point is, if you haven't yet, go play this game. Everyone who finished this game seems to think it altered their brain chemistry or whatever, so, you know, maybe it's like a super special, once-in-a-lifetime work of beauty and excellence that to choose to ignore is a crime against life itself, you monster! Play this f***ing game! Don't worry, we'll wait. It's only like 20 bucks. 10 hours long. It's also on Games Pass, but I understand if you want to own it yourself. And we won't be talking about the DLC. You beat it? Good! The Outer Wilds is about how the universe is ending, we're all going to die, there's nothing we can do about it, and maybe, just maybe, that's all okay. The meaning of life is not to preserve it infinitely, without meaning, without depth, and without love, but to seek the inherent beauty of its limitations, a search that will itself both consume your life and be the only thing that makes it worth living. Still stuck in that time. This is a concept that composer Andrew Pralo managed to purify into dust form and inject directly into his banjo, and we're gonna find out how. Loop 1. The story. Okay, so to understand exactly what the music is doing, I think it's helpful to understand what the game is doing first. It will help those who aren't familiar with musical analysis follow the theory I'm about to yap about, and also help the fools who ignored the spoiler warnings know anything of relevance to this video at all. The Outer Wilds experience is one of distinct contrasts. Cosmic horror is a pervasive theme throughout. You are an astronaut, finally ready to leave home and explore the stars, something that you have dreamed of and trained for years and years. And on the day that lifelong dream finally becomes a reality, the sun goes sicko mode. What the f***? It blasts Team Rocket away again.
To blast this dump sky high!
You die in the game, you die in real life.
Oh god, I'm dying! Drink the potion.
The sun does a gender reveal. No, it doesn't actually. The Harthians have no gender. You f***ing bigot.
Pronoun!
The universe ending right after you achieve your life's goal is some Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy level of just pure black irony. However, after the sun goes sicko mode on you, you wake up and you find yourself stuck in a time loop, and it becomes clear that you need to figure out why you're in a loop and maybe save the universe in the process? At first, it seems like the supernova may have been artificial and something you can prevent, but eventually it becomes clear that the sun is actually just at the end of its life. It is pure cosmic coincidence that you got caught in a supernova-powered time loop at the end of the universe, and the only way forward is to end the loop and, by extension, the lives of everyone you've ever known. It gives me the same pit in my stomach that I feel when I'm thinking about climate change. Look at this graph! A gastrointestinal black hole, if you will. During your explorations, you will find things that will set your hair on end. I remember the way I sweat into my controller when I first landed on Brittle Hollow and realized that I had to platform over a fucking black hole.
That's a black hole.
I tiptoed around the settlement beneath the escape pod, feeling my stomach hit the floor every time I left a gap, and watched the light bend from the other side of the planet around the hole's gaping maw. And Giants Deep? That planet alone makes me feel completely insecure in my existence.
Oh, I don't like that! I'm scared of the ocean!
And you'll notice that I haven't so much as mentioned the fucking nightmare that is Dark Bramble.
I'm just going towards the red one, because, like, that's what...
You are completely confronted by the total indifference of the universe at every turn of your journey, and it is unrelenting. In a horror story, these things would drive the characters mad.
It's the best day.
They'd begin to not trust each other and start committing heinous crimes against humanity in the face of the unbearable apathy of the universe. Kind of like how I feel in my data entry job. Please, dear God, someone hire me for my actual skills. The takeaway would be all about the hopelessness of the human condition, and Rick and Morty fans from far and wide would celebrate yet another exhaustive exploration of nothing. In the Outer Wilds, hopelessness very specifically does not happen, at least not on a textual level. The Harthians, your community, have this live and let live attitude with the universe that honestly strikes me as very Australian. Yeah, your ship's made of wood and jet fuel and could spontaneously combust because those two things famously don't go well together, but she'll be right, mate. Where's your sense of adventure? Nah, it's fine, mate. The ship's as safe as Slate could be convinced to make it. We're stuck in a universe-ending time loop. What a doozy! I'm gonna take a nap. It's giving Australian relaxed optimism, but nice and wholesome instead of impotent and indifferent to workplace sexual harassment. The Harthians don't stray away from the potential horrors of the cosmos, but the danger of exploration just makes the exploration more fun. It's in the fact of death that is created by life that the Harthians find their meaning. Yeah, the ship might go Challenger on you, but like, isn't exploring the stars a bit more fun that way? There are a few fellow Harthian travelers that are dotted around the solar system that you can find using your signal scope. They all have their own instruments and are playing the same song in unison, and you can hear their instruments through your scope. So if the planets align and you point your scope just right, you can listen to your friends play a song together. Oh, isn't that cute and not at all gonna be emotionally devastating? Foreshadowing as a literary device. The Nomai, a long-dead alien race whose ruins cover your star system, have a similar response to the infinite meaninglessness of the universe. To them, the act of learning about the universe is what gives it meaning. It doesn't matter whether that meaning was designed for them, the pursuit of knowledge for its own sake is what's valuable. When discovery is your purpose, the infinite unknowable meaningless of existence itself creates an equal and opposite infinite meaningful existence. Our knowledge can only be finite, while our ignorance must be necessarily infinite, is a statement of pure wondrous joy if seeking knowledge is our only purpose. A hunger that can never be satiated meets a buffet the size of the fucking universe. That meaning oozes through the Nomai's leftover writings, which are imbued with such a deep love of both life and each other. I just love these nerdy little fuckers, and not a single day goes by that I don't think about the love notes that they left for one another. Boyle, are you still there? I'm unsure how to survive this place without you. I am unsure how to be me without you. This game has so much fucking heart, man. If you ignored the spoiler warning, you made a mistake. So we got spooky space shit mixed with a bunch of happy nerds eating too many marshmallows. It's at the center of this contrast that we find the point of musical impact. Loop 2, Harmonic Memory. Oh, good grief, that's bright. Oh man, I hope I set my ISO correctly. I don't know how cameras work. So the Outer Wilds soundtrack is built with 4s. What does that mean, Badams? You all say in unison like the fucking sheep you are. Well, this is my class, and I do the talking! Music is all about relationships between notes, between rhythms, between chords, between instruments. It's the relationships created within a song that give it meaning. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me play you an A. What does this A mean? Nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing and will continue to exist in abstract futility until I play a second note to create a relationship. Hey, it's just like you, not a real person because you have no friends. So I'll play our meaningless A. But now let me play a C sharp. Suddenly, the music has life, direction, purpose, it's doing something. It's alive! In music, we call these relationships tonality, and we use numbers to describe the tonality of notes, chords, notes within chords, keys, etc. We figure out what numbers to use based on an origin point, the first note in a chord or key. What is called the tonic of a key or the root of a chord. The Outer Wilds main menu theme is in the key of A major. A is the origin point in A major, so A is 1. From there, we count up numerically through the alphabet, each consecutive letter being the next number. So if A is 1, then B is 2, C sharp is 3, and so on and so forth. The same thing happens with our chords. You can build one functional chord off each note in the major scale. So in the key of A, the A major chord is the 1. And just like the notes up here, we simply count through the alphabet to get our numerical values. So if A major is chord 1, then B minor is chord 2, C sharp minor is chord 3. There it is. Now you'll notice on the Roman numerals that I've written above the chords, I've changed the case on some of them. On the notes, they're all just lowercase, but some of the chords down here are uppercase, and one of them has a weird little circle on it. The uppercase numbers represent major chords, the lowercase numbers represent minor chords, and then that little circle represents a diminished chord. So we have major chords, like chord 1, A major. We have minor chords, like chord 2, B minor. And we have diminished chords. Making sense so far? So in music, all notes are defined by their relationship to one another, right? These relationships don't strictly need to all exist at the same time. This is something that I like to call harmonic memory. If I stop all sound and play that A again, despite it being the same lonely sound you heard when I first played the keyboard, the sound of us playing through this scale has now changed your understanding of what that note is. All of this sound's absence becomes part of the relationship. The memory of it makes the A who it is. Foreshadowing is a literary device. Okay, now let's analyze the Outer Wilds main theme. The reason I want to examine this particular version of the theme is that it's the one that shows up before you even hit start on the main menu. Before you see your first image, this song sets the stage. It clearly must be very thematically relevant to your journey, so let's listen to it. So the piece opens with a banjo alternating between an A and an E. While this doesn't confirm much about the key signature, to people raised with Western and Western-influenced music, it certainly seems like the A is acting as our tonic, our origin point, which it is. The theme is in the key of A major, so alternating between the A and E does establish where the one is. However, it's doing something interesting that will become kind of a signature of this tune. The part of the chord that determines whether it's minor or major is the third, but with an A and an E, we don't actually have a third to speak of, just the 1 and the 5, or the perfect fifth. This is a pretty ambiguous relationship, because we don't know whether Prolo is going to enter with the major chord or with a minor chord. Despite the fact that we can, in fact, make cultural assumptions about whether it's going to be minor or major and what these two notes are doing in the context of the key, Pralo still intentionally leaves it vague and unclear. Foreshadowing is a little rare. 2 bars later, a synth that kind of sounds a bit like a mellotron joins in, reinforcing the A as the 1, but instead of alternating it with the 5th, it drops down to the 7, a G sharp, which builds tension and also further suggests that we are indeed in the key of A. 2 bars after that, what I think is our main point of discussion appears, the second banjo. Like the first, it alternates between a perfect 5th, but it's not the same perfect 5th. The banjo is playing a D and an A, which is the root and the 5th of a D major chord. D major is chord 4 of the key of A major. This completely reframes all previous instances of the note A, because as we combine these together, we actually get a bit of a D sus2 chord going. And now the A is no longer acting as the origin point, but as a 5th of the D major chord. Our perspective on that A has been flipped. This banjo also neglects the 3rd, continuing Pralo's trend of spitting on our innate desire to know where the fuck we are. Or it would if it wasn't for that synth hitting the 7th of the scale, that G sharp. The thing is, that G sharp in the synth means a lot for our D chord. This is an extremely tense interval called a tritone, and it sounds like this. The thing about the tritone is that in Western functional harmony, it only appears alongside a perfect 5th on the 4 chord of any given key. You can't have a D, an A, and a G sharp all together at once unless you're in the key of A major. As a result, we don't actually need to hear the 3rd of the D major chord to know that it's a major chord, because the G sharp gives away that game for us. From there, that second banjo goes on to outline an E sus4 chord and an F sharp minor chord, revealing our full chord progression of 4, 5, 6, 5. These chords set the stage for the melody, which follows this chord progression extremely closely. We start with a leap from D to C sharp, which is the root and the major 7 of the 4 chord. This is followed by a bit of a faster phrase, which lands on an A 3 separate times. That A is kind of interesting because we're over an E sus4 chord. Now, the sus4 of that E chord is that A. That note is our 4, so the melody here is doubling down on our 4ths. Now the melody repeats with a little bit of variation. We still land on a C sharp, but this time we outline the notes of an F sharp minor chord. And now we play a really similar phrase to before, but this time we land on a higher variation, not landing on the A being the 4th, but landing on a C sharp. It's worth noting that there are 2 versions of the main melody in the soundtrack. Here, the chords are changing every bar, but in other songs like Travelers, the chords change once every 2 bars. In that scenario, the first 3 notes of the melody repeats always outline the chord that's here. For example, at the start of the melody, we always have a D, A, C sharp outlining the D major 7, which is chord 4. This means that whenever you're hearing this melody on its own, like when sitting with Rebeck or Esker, you are explicitly being given the context of the tune's harmonic foundations. The melody refuses to exist without the context of these foundational chords, which forces us to ask the question, why is this chord progression so important? Loop 3, why this shit matters. Remember how all chords in a key have a number that tells us the relationship to said key? These chord numbers are often prescribed emotions. The tonic, chord 1, is home. It's a place of musical rest and comfort, but like real comfort, not cottagecore fantasy of retiring to a farm type comfort, but the mundanity of a home you take for granted. All other chords can be considered as departures from the home chord, each having its own unique sense of emotional resonance in relationship to home. In the main title, the first thing we hear is the establishment of home, that banjo bouncing between the 1 and the 5 of the tonic chord. The first thing we do in the Outer Wilds is explore our home. Like the banjo alternating between the root and the 5th, the player first walks around Timberhearth, chatting to friendly faces and learning about the things that they'll find in the solar system. Then we move away from home. The banjo introduces the 4 chord. We get the launch code from Hornfells. And we are immediately overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the world we inhabit. The absence of home becomes ever present in our mind. This is the main reason I said that the soundtrack is all about 4s. If chord 1 is home, I think that here chord 4 is the absence of home. It's a harmony of longing for that which one can't have. Now you might say, surely chord 5 is the home since it naturally resolves to the 1 like you're going home, but I disagree. In chord 5 you can see the pathway home. It's the long drive home where you start to recognize the streets. Chord 4, however, is the inescapable memory of a home that you no longer have. This becomes even more relevant as you uncover the mysteries of the time loop. It's eventually revealed that there's no way to save your home. It's dead. 22 minutes from now, forever. You can go back and visit your friends, but nothing will change their fate. All you can really do is just get back in your ship and continue searching for answers. This point is reinforced by the version of the 5 chord that we do have. Chord 5 is usually what we call dominant and desperately wants to return to chord 1. You hear that? The resolution is begging to happen. But in the Outer Wilds theme, chord 5 isn't spelled in a way that calls for a clear resolution. It's a sus 4 chord which doesn't much care about returning to home at all. Like, yeah, it resolves, but it doesn't pull in the same way. We are denied a return to home and then propelled onwards to the 6 chord, which just passes back to the 5 sus, which passes back to the 4, and this just repeats forever. These chords are so deeply meditative that they lock the listener into a trance-like state. After being here long enough, it becomes clear that any hope of escaping the loop and returning home is futile. We can't go home now. It'd be wrong. We're just stuck going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with no clear means of escape. Leaving this place now feels like an act of violence. To break out of the loop feels like a terrible crime against life itself. The beautiful meditative result of the loop is surely justification for its own existence. It'd be wrong to leave it to die, and there's no way to escape that is satisfactory, and there's no resolution to this progression. It seems so obvious once you realize it, but what can we do after? Life is action, and life is only good when action is a joy. In the meditation of the loop, action will slowly lose its meaning, so then what? The universe is doomed either way. If we leave, it erupts, and if we stay, it just fizzles out. There's no way this loop can end without violence. To break out is an act of violence. To stay too is an act of violence. Violence is explosive as a dying star. There is no way out. There is no way forward. Life doesn't resolve like that. Death isn't neat and tidy. Life is action, and action only continues until it stops. The chord progression of the Outer Wilds soundtrack does the same thing that the game itself does. The universe that the chord progression creates, much like that of the game, and of ours, can't be simply resolved. It doesn't work like that. We're stuck in this loop until it stops, and stopping is death. Action is a prerequisite of life. All that said, I have to return to what I think is the most important piece of this puzzle. Remember how at the very start of the theme we have chord 1 outlined for us? Home is shown to us in 2 notes. The first time you hear the melody, you hear it in relationship with the 1, with home. Your memory of chord 1 is coloring your experience with the main melody. I am unsure how to be me without you. Every time you hear Rebek plucking the melody on his banjo, every time it emerges from the void as you soar across the solar system, every time it plays as you boot up the game, every time you whistle it to yourself on your way to work, chord 1 is present somewhere in your memory. A piece of home is with you, no matter how far from it you fly. In the game, the player eventually, inevitably, agonizingly realizes that there's naught to be done when the sun is simply at the end of its life. This isn't a game about saving the world, this is a game about accepting its death. Yet in the face of cataclysmic unknowns, no matter how hostile the planet you're exploring, no matter how nihilistic your situation seems, somewhere there is a campfire. Somewhere a friend plays a song next to a packet of marshmallows. It's your song. You sit with them, watching the firelight as the sky dissolves, and you discover that dying just doesn't seem so bad with a campfire song. Loop 4. God is diegetic. Hey, does anyone want to, like, start a cult or something like that, you know? It'd be chill. We could, you know, I don't know, Heaven's Gated or some shit. So we've spoken about the narrative tension that exists both in the Outer Wilds and its music, but how does it end? You can't save the world, so then what? You just die? Well, yes, but there's a few steps to your dying that are of particular relevance. Throughout your explorations, you'll learn that the Nomai, the long-dead alien race, came to this star system pursuing something that they call the Eye of the Universe. All they know is that it's somewhere nearby-ish, that it's really hard to find, and that it's older than the universe itself. Uh-oh, more cosmic horror time. Call everyone's favorite racist, the tentacles are coming! You'll eventually learn that the time loop that you're stuck in was built by the Nomai so that they could repeatedly launch a probe in every direction until, by the sheer brute force of infinity, they find the eye. It worked. You have the coordinates. And after finding their ship, you realize that you can go to the eye, something that the Nomai could never do themselves. The only problem is that the ship needs a power source, and the only power source available is the one that is running the time loop. To reach the eye, you sentence everyone to death. The eye itself is terrifying. It's bigger than anything you've seen before. It is ravaged by a storm that puts giants deep to shame. You reach the eye of the storm, and you jump in. The fall makes you feel sick. The cavern it opens up into dwarfs anything you could conceive. Your heart rate skyrockets until finally you reach the There is so much I could say about what happens next. I could dedicate a 10-hour video to it. What's important is that you find you, then you find your friends, the travelers you found throughout your explorations by following their music. In this ineffable place of death and birth, you bring them all together around the campfire one last time. One by one, they begin to play. It's the piece we've been discussing in this video. That's the thing about this tune. To us, in this moment, it's not the Outer Wilds theme composed by human man Andrew Prowlo. It's the song of your people. It's diegetic. It's a literal part of these people's lives, and it represents their connection to each other and their connection to their home. The eye is an object that creates new universes, and when observed by a conscious being, that being's life informs the new universe. As your community plays their favorite music, the smoke from the campfire forms an orb of infinite possibilities, a quantum object that exists in all forms until observed. This melody creates it. It is diegetic, it is transcendent, and at the eye, this melody is God. And so you, a Harthian whose song was just sung, leap towards it, and the Big Bang screams your song as a universe is born! What the Outer Wilds argues with radical conviction is that the meaning of life is found in the love that we have for one another, and in the beauty of the mundane. It doesn't say that life isn't about being important or doing important things, but it categorically disagrees with common conceptions of what importance even is. Importance isn't a job, or a car, or an everlasting romance. Importance is that time you fell asleep in the car and had to be carried inside by your parents. Importance is that time you did the vacuuming while your mum read a book on the armchair under the sun. Importance is your 7th gynecologist appointment. Importance is that time you accidentally stayed up till 6 AM on Christmas morning because you were playing Halo with an American friend that you never get to play games with because of the time zone differences. Importance is that time you and your wife had to pull over in the middle of nowhere on the south coast of New South Wales in a blisteringly cold storm to fight winds and ice-cold rain to reattach a broken wiper blade. Importance is the "I've been there" half smile that you gave the retail worker who was clearly having an awful day. Importance is that D&D session where you barely played because you were just too excited existing together. Importance is that awkward conversation with an estranged friend that you bumped into at the train station. Importance is crying at a wedding, at a funeral, in the bathtub, on a folding chair with a friend, or while watching the credits of a game you know has left you feeling like you'll never be the person you were before. The communal spirit is one that the game portrays with music because music is a central part of human connection. It's a central part of being human, full stop. We shouldn't sing to look cool and to make ourselves important. We should sing because it's beautiful and because we should want to share that with one another. The Outer Wilds sounds like the meaning of life because your song is the meaning of life. The song you sing too loud with your friends in the car, the song that you want played at your funeral, the song that you sang in chorus with thousands of people when you finally got to see your favorite band live, the song that you hum to your baby as you're trying to rock it to sleep, desperately praying that you'll get more than 4 hours before work tomorrow. The Outer Wilds thinks that those songs aren't just important, but that they're so powerful they could birth an entire universe. The Outer Wilds sounds like the meaning of life because it is the meaning of life. Yes, our existence is literally about the friends we made along the way. This is... Oh. Hey.
Had the worst afternoon, and I'm gonna have a shower straight into the floor, but then maybe we get sushi for dinner.
Okay, I'm really close to finishing filming, so I will head straight to the apartment as soon as I'm done. Love you, see you soon.
Oh wait, we might go to the shops, unless you want to go to the shops on your way home.
The shops for...
I will go shops together. We need liquids.
Ah. Okay, alright, I'll see you soon.
Alright, love you, bye.
Love you, bye. This is such a refreshing take from the current grind set bullshit some people are obsessed with. If you have the support to avoid it, such cowardice is required to dedicate your life to something as pathetically meaningless as a career you do for money and no higher purpose. That's so fucking stupid. What's the point of living if you're just working a pointless job that you hate, one that offers nothing to you or to the world and just strips you of your identity as you enter data from one screen to another? You're not even alive. I'm not even alive. What's the point in working a job that crushes my soul and saps my ability to give the best of myself to my community? If I'm not pursuing the meaning of life, then am I there at all? Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that everyone who stays in dead-end jobs in order to pay rent is a coward. I'm unbelievably lucky to have been able to quit my bullshit job and pursue a life richer in meaning. The point of this should not be that you all need to pick yourselves up by your bootstraps and throw yourselves into poverty in order to live a life of transcendence. It's that we need to be fighting to create a world that actually values transcendence in the first place. We should work to live, not live to work. You aren't lazy for not wanting to work your pointless job. You're alive. Against all odds, you're alive. We should be working to make the best of it. And for no other reason. We should build a society where we exist to sing together. And yes, I'm literally not kidding. I quit my job over a fucking video game. Subscribe, give me money! Wow, what a great video, you say with much gusto. I want to give this person money, because they deserve it. You're going to go to my Patreon below, and you're going to give me money every month, and I'm going to make these more than once a year in exchange. Sound good? I also wanted to make a quick addendum, because I feel my point was not clear. I feel my point was more anti-work than I had planned it to be. My point isn't anti-work, it's just anti the way that work functions in society at the moment. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? You still gotta work, you still gotta like contribute to a community and like do valuable things. It's just we don't do that as work at the moment. That's the point. Do you get it? Do you get it?